Oakley dokley, good evening heroes and heroines, and welcome to episode 214 of Practising Programming in C, in which we're going to do some more stuff on Cinera's database version 5. Since the previous episode, I did run Cinera for reals while I was indexing Handmade Hero, and it worked perfectly. As far as I can tell, we didn't screw anything up. One thing that I did do programming wise was these two lines here. So after we've done the sync projects, you may recall that sync project goes through all of the project, syncing them up, and then the current project just ends up being the final person that you that you hit. It's the final person in the tree essentially. So all I did since that episode was I just did this to set the current project to be that, so that when you then get through into monitor file system, that person will itself have the current project set accordingly. And yeah, like I say, it just all worked. As far as I could tell. So it's all verifying as well. Like that was always happening. Are we building it in optimized? Yeah, we are building optimized. So I didn't spot any funny business with the like the names of stuff, because you may recall we had that bug, didn't we? The bug was, I think we made a note of it. Investigate scrambled titles. For example, risky book reader 001, preface 1111. I think 1.1. Oh no, sorry. 1.1 to 1.3 is the correct title, and then there was this garbage appended. Now I don't think I've spotted anything like that in the optimized build, so I think we're going to have to build in release mode, build in debug mode, and get that back. I think also I'd like to prevent and verify landmarks from even doing anything actually, because we always seem to be verifying no problem. So I think we've nailed that. I'm just gonna if thingamajig that thing out. Basically it's this. I think. Oh right, okay. So yeah, now I need to just sort of go around and say, is this true? Well, hang on a minute. I don't think I want to be doing this, do I? I think what I want to be doing, where's the end? So there's that's that there. There's the end if. I think I want to do an else and just say define. And it just does nothing. Can you do something that just does nothing? Like, how would that work? So apparently that's built. So yeah. Would this also work? Yeah, that does also work. So then I think once you've done that, I think all these other checks, if debug landmarks, verify landmarks, you can just get rid of these, right? And then whenever you call verify landmarks, it'll just run that define, which should do nothing. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I spectacularly mistaken? I mean, basically it's a similar deal as asserts, isn't it? Right? See what happens. So there's no verified landmark print that's happening. So that just means that we can now see a bit more of the stuff. Still can't see all of it because there's so much of the stuff getting processed. There's a lot of these people they've got to skip because we don't know their credentials. I suppose we could argue that now might be a good time to add like more stuff, to add more credentials. I mean, we basically left them out so that we could continue to warn about them. I don't know, let's leave that happening for now. And just go back and rebuild in this mode. And with a bit of luck, hopefully we'll see some. Might have to stop that happening. Some examples of our bug. There's co-add, there's reader, preface 1.1. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't see any busted titles. Which is a royal shame. So it's one thing we could do, because we have got we did make a note of what the actual, an example of one of the instances of the bug happening. We might be able to kind of imagine what was going on and just see what could have been causing that bug. So we made this note. This is an ID. So let's have a look in our stuff. Can we just do this here? Okay, so this is the video ID. So that string is being written into this file here, and it was reader 001 itself, which was getting that thing written in as its base file name. Sorry, as the title of the episode. So that's going to get written out. So HTML to buffers is going to be responsible for getting that out of the HTML. By the way, I'm currently listening to my favourite song from last year, as I've mentioned on previous streams. So we get the title from the HTML, we get the video ID from the HTML. Let's see. What we're doing with them. What was the length of that thing actually? So it's preface 1.1 to 1.3. Yeah, so that wasn't a very long title. Let's go into HTML to buffers. And see where we're using that stuff. Yeah, so these come in as zero length, zero terminated things. So clear copy string, no format. So we're going to copy it into the collation buffers. Oh. Hang on a minute. That's a bug, isn't it? The collation buffer's title, if we can clear copy no string, if we can clear copy string no format into that thing, then we shouldn't be doing this, should we? We shouldn't. Shouldn't we be actually clearing the whole thing? So we got a buffer here. So the title, the max title length plus 1. Yeah, we don't want to actually do the plus 1s, do we, anymore? For a start. That could have been our problem, actually, couldn't it? Could it? Maybe these things were getting read out of the database in such a way that was just not marrying up with the actual sizes of them. It's not beyond the realms, is it? That's old news. So that should, although we're not going to actually support DB version 3, that should have done the stuff. But now you can see that we're using, so all these guys are powers of 2. But another thing is, when we're in here, HTML to buffers. So these are buffers that we're going to rewind. So this is going to be setting the first first byte of this string, first of this character array, to be a 0. I mean, I guess that's kind of okay, maybe. Because those things don't have a... they don't have like a pointer that you're going to be able to rewind in the same way that you can with buffers. Where's risky book reader? There's bus read. So it's reinserted. What was the... Did I note down what the actual case was? No. I didn't say whether it was inserted or reinserted. Let's try and delete these people. I think I might also try and invert the stuff, because I like to actually exhibit the goddamn book. So let's deleted that. Rebuild it. Aha, there we go. We've got the book. Perfect. And it's that we haven't solved it. This is great. So now what we can do is when we see this appended, we can actually start to investigate this. So when we print this thing out, let's see what we're dealing with. So that's going to be in insert entry and then insert into DB, isn't it? So the bottom of here is right down here. So if the video is not private, what is it printing out? The base file name length, collation buffer's title, I mean, this is sort of suggesting, isn't it, that the collation buffer's title is somehow populated with something, well, it's populated with that stuff, isn't it? Whatever it is. Because this is the title. Isn't it suggesting that it's populated with equals that also? Let's try that. Try and print it separately. Is that true? Yeah, let's do that. Wow, I just used the left arrow key. This is also garbage, by the way. I should wrap up that collation buffer's title into an actual string. Shouldn't I? Could stop this print out as well, actually. Title is preface. Right, okay. So we've got title is preface 1 point that. So now where's this coming from then? we've got the edit type. We're colouring the edit type. We've got the edit type name, and we've got the colour strings at the end. And then we've got the current project's lineage base, and then we've got the base file name length, and the base file name. And then the collation buffer's title. I mean, what's going on up here? I mean, is this anything to do with anything? Does this even do anything? Log error. Yeah, it kind of does. The cache directory errors.log. Are we actually logging those guys? Oh, we are. Not found. Code 221. It's quote. Oh. Okay, so that's 145 code to find. Log notice. Oh, right, yeah, so if the log level is greater than that, then it does the stuff. So it's probably not doing it. Yeah, right, so let's just try printing out this before that. Or, hang on. Do it that way around. Title will be. Title was. Then we need to delete the database. Delete the test directory. And also, as I was saying, let's just stop printing out the stuff. Print assets block. Well, we're not doing that. Probably, yes, this is in main. So now we shouldn't be printing out the assets block. Aha. So this is interesting, isn't it? So at this point the title is preface that. And then we use that. Right, fascinating. So that is populated with something that it shouldn't be populated with. I think that argues for us having to actually clear that buffer, clear the whole thing. Right, it's not enough to simply set the first character to be a null. You actually need to clear the whole thing. That's my argument. Right, so where we do this, we actually have to clear the whole thing. Can I do this in a better way? And then it's, well, how do you do it? Yeah, I'm not sure there's an easy way of doing this. Can I just do this? Of course I can't. It does do a null terminator, doesn't it? The string length plus 1 is greater than that. I mean, I probably should really just let the HTML persist all the way through the pipe. Shouldn't I, actually? And then you can get away from this whole collation buffers garbage. So basically the problem here in null terminating this string is that this title might be exactly 64 bytes, or whatever the title can be, and it won't fit into here when it should do. Well, there's a clear copy string, isn't it? So hold on a second. Clear copy string, no format. Now, just see if that even solves our problem. Because if you think about it, if it's gonna do a clear copy string no format, shouldn't it actually clear the string? Aha, so that didn't fix it. Cool. So the title is preface. So then we append that. Title was preface. Interesting. Interesting or an interesting. So where's that title being touched? I mean, we could just say right here, couldn't we? Actually, let's just try and look at that first. So none of those loads particularly untoward, and those are the only places it's been used as well. Now what is getting is F colon equals this garbage. Right, I mean the title should be just this, but at this point the title is this. You've got F equals that. Well, F colon rather. Well, there's an F there. Interestingly, I'm not seeing any of the index files of the search page, but I guess that kind of makes sense because there aren't any YouTube videos on the search pages. Isn't it also interesting that, yeah, I mean, it is a printf, isn't it? And we have had this situation, didn't we? If you remember, we had a situation where changing a printf affected the stack. And we managed to cure that by actually bounds checking the copy functions. Let's just do another test. You know, we've got this title, this preface, this, and then we've got that. For the second time, it's got the actual correct title. Let's just try adding another one of these and just see if the same pattern continues. So in other words, that the first time you see it, you get that, and then for subsequent times you get not that. Also, these can go back to being as they were, I reckon. Right, because they haven't changed anything. And this clear copy string their format should be doing the thing that we want it to be doing. It should be clearing it. With the caveat that it won't actually be able to fill up the entire thing. Because this guy adds a null terminator. Bloody hell. All these copy string to something functions. Copy buffer sized. Yeah, I'm sure there's a better way of doing all of these guys. Just didn't have an insight into that when I wrote this originally. So yeah, insert into DB. I mean, we can just see that there's just two of them together. Yeah, so the first time you access it, it has this garbage. So then I guess I would sort of also say could we not just do that do one of these calls inside HTML to buffers? Right. Let's just say this is equals title equals this. I think this should happen before all of the other guys. So it's okay here, right? It only gets scrambled up when you get down to here. So we're operating, what are we talking about here? Collation buffers. So these should be claiming out of the arena anyway. The include search and the search entry and all that lot. So I don't think that should affect this particular piece of memory around here. And then here we're just saying that the buffers contains, we're just reserving this amount of space for these people. Similarly here. VOD platform. We could probably actually, do we ever populate that? Yeah, we do. I don't think we use it, do we? Oh, we do. Yeah, because I had that tagged inside the VOD platform. So I guess that could just change to be an actual globally initialized lookup table. So yeah, let's go on and just see where, after we've done this thing here, Where does title next get used? Yeah, so these guys are sized. Up 0 of that, and that stuff, yeah, that is not terminated. There's a title getting used. Kind of hoping to see the collation buffers being passed to some function other than copy buffer, obviously. So that's just the offset buffers, the collation buffers menus. Shouldn't have anything to do with the title, because this menus is an actual buffer. What's this saying? Minus equal 2. Includes player. Copy to buffer. The content. Does that look a bit dodgy to you? I'm going to step in and just see what that's actually thinking it's supposed to be doing. 6857. So what are we seeing at the moment? Oh my god, that's what he's doing. So if there's more than one type, if there's a topic, well, hold on a minute. What happens if there isn't? Oh, if there's a topic count or a media count. Oh, I see. Jesus Christ, that's not a nice way of doing it. basically all it's doing is it's just getting us out of this. It's rolling us back to the comma and then writing out this. So, okay, fine. It's not nice, but it's going to not be affecting us. So that was in the call to HTML to buffers. So there's the collection buffers title being used here. Wrap 0i. So what happens if we print out the collection buffers title here? Right. I guess to put it another way, because you remember when we printed it out in here, we printed it out right here, and it gave us this, which is the correct title. So we'll just see if we can get to the bottom of this whole function and just see if it can still print it the same. It can't. Perfect. So there must be something going on between those places, mustn't there? Between where you set it and where you actually, where we're using it here. I suppose I could even keep the guy down there actually printing. Let's just do a second equal sign just to show that it's the second call of it. Yeah, so it's correct there. It's not correct here, so let's just, I don't know, just kind of try and binary search where this information actually pops up, I guess. Yeah, I mean, we know that it's fine there, don't we? I guess we could actually keep that. For this one, let's say 3, and then let's just do an fprintf with 2 dudes, and just stamp it in and just see what happens. It's a bit haphazard, but it's just how it goes, isn't it? So it has been introduced by that point. So we go up a bit further. I guess you could just sort of probably, surely it's got to be linked to the collision buffers in some way, isn't it? So at the end of the annotations loop, is this the loop here? I mean, there's declaim, isn't it? So there's our annotations. Let's just see if we got it here. We have. Let's try before the loop. We have got it there. I hope I built that. Let's just do it again. One of the perils of having a short build time is that you can easily miss them, can't you? So yeah, so we've already introduced that here before the annotations loop. So we're getting down to it, aren't we, surely? There's the claiming buffers happens here. That's how it gets set, doesn't it, before here? So there's the title getting set. Should we try it before the claiming of the buffers? Not exactly sure why that would have anything to do with it though. Right, yes, we don't have it by that point. Cool, so we're getting there. Yeah. And we could do it a bit more rigorously and actually mark the min and max things. So yeah, still haven't got it. Here's the loop. Didn't we try here? I can't remember if we did. Hence the possible utility of doing the minimax. So yeah, we have got it here now. So somewhere I'm just going to I'm going to do it. Right. Somewhere between there and the and there, wasn't it? Or was it even after the, I think it was after the claims, wasn't it? Yeah. That's still alright. I suppose also I could just do this. So we've actually got the there's our min. HTML cleanup. If the video is private, I don't think it is it? Bill credits. I guess bill credits does some stuff, doesn't it? Should we just try before and after bill credits? I think I need to do another, yeah. Another equal sign. Does bill credits even take the... It doesn't take the collection buffers. So yeah, it's not there, but I mean it could have been introduced by that function, which is what I was kind of suggesting. And it isn't, okay. Okay, so they're saying that somewhere between here and here that this stuff ends up getting stuffed onto the title. Right? Is that right? So how can that possibly be? If the n working size is equal to 0 and the current project is not ignore privacy, video is private. If the video is private, so is it in video is private? I think what we can say is this, can't we? Yeah, we don't have the collation buffer in here. Basically, what I should expect to see here is 1 and 2 looking correct, and then 3 looking broken. Alright, so that's at least logical. By the same token, oh, we could do it in, before and after this if, actually, can't we? Yeah, so it's perfect there, before the if. Yeah, but after the if it's screwed. Cool, so yeah. So what is videos private doing? Ah, checking video. Oh, it's this message, isn't it? F. It's this fucking message. Copy string. Does copy string not check the bounds of that guy? If the length is greater than the def size, we pass the buffer too small. Oh, it's this, isn't it? It's this problem again. It's the checking the thing, isn't it? This isn't. It isn't actually. This isn't the contents of this thing. Clear terminal row. It's this thing. So why is clear terminal row of that message length actually not the right length? Because didn't we fix clear terminal row to actually do the correct stuff? So this is our thing. Clear terminal character measures length, take of the length. Basically, right, this is super crazy, but if you look at this, HTML to buffers, you know where we did the printf for the title? Right. Where is that guy? Where's privacy? Check privacy. Right, so here. If all we do is this. Oh, we don't have the message length, do we? That's unfortunate. I mean, we could get that returned to us. But basically, the length is going to be that, right? Obviously, I'm not going to actually solve this by doing it this way. And video is private. I mean, we could just quickly make it take a message length. I think this is only called in one place, isn't it? Maybe it's called in two places. But the message length is going to be equal to that. And then where's this getting used? Just dereference it. So we've got that. Now all you do is you message length, take away that. I think this, good day, daughter, how's it going? If I'm not mistaken, I think this should prevent this from getting printed out. So again, it seems like it's a terminal line clearing issue all over again, possibly. Which monitor do you use? 2K looks so wrong of a 1K monitor. It is a Dell. I think it's is it called an XPS? And it's 20 inches or something like that. Let's have a look. Oh, actually, do I have it? No. Looking back, for I have no patience to look for a good one myself. Yeah, I think I can only find this on Qt browser, probably. So I just need to switch away from that, and you'll be able to see a phone that I'm kind of eyeing up. So we've got a Dell. Don't want to do that. XPS. No, XPS is the laptops, isn't it? So what is the monitor? 20. Okay, Dell Ultra Sharp. So I think it might be this guy. A U2415. It's a higher resolution than that. I think it's 200. Yeah, it's definitely higher resolution than that. 24. It's 2560. But that's kind of it's definitely an ultra sharp, I think, though, at least. It could be this person. No, that's not the right resolution again. Um, 2415. Pretty sure it is to at least. Just have a look. What is it? XR&D. Yeah, it is 2560 times 1440. Oh, actually, what else can you? What can you look at? I don't think LSPCI will show you, will it? So yeah, it isn't this. Can I search for 2560? Would that be any good? 2560. Okay. It could be this, couldn't it? also by the evidence of the PC part picker thing. It could be that. So gander. I can't remember if I spent that much on it. Maybe I did. I can't remember. But yeah, it is a Dell. Oh, I purchased this item. There we go. So yeah, I did purchase this item on then. I'm not sure if it was this price at that time. So this is what I'm using. What I don't like about it is it has like I can even show you with the camera actually. Although it won't be super viewable. It has like this idea. I don't know if you can see that at all. So those are the buttons, and they're sort of touch screen buttons. And I don't really like them because sometimes they're not actually reliable, right? You sort of try and touch the button, and it's like, can you also see? There's no profile on it, so there's no like, there's no, what do you call it? It's not a physical button, and it sometimes doesn't actually register your thing. So I didn't like that. This is also my first. I think they call it an IPS, don't they? Is that right? I'm just trying to position this dude again, so I'm not getting the camera in. Right. Yeah, what do you call them? Yeah, an IPS. So it's my first IPS, so kind of better colour reproduction it's supposed to be. Now, I think I do see in this thing a bit of backlight bleeding, basically. I sort of see it at the corners a little bit. I think I do anyway. I mean, I'm not exactly sure because I haven't really seen. Like I say, it's my only IPS I've ever used, and I haven't really compared it with any others, so I don't really know exactly what I'm looking for in terms of that thing. In terms of how to actually identify backlight bleeding. But yeah, I mean, I guess those are the two criticisms that I have. One slight niggling thing was, yeah, you really dislike touch, right? So yeah, maybe this one wouldn't be a good one to go for. Is that Surf? No, it's Qt browser. Yeah, do you want to show you? No problem with the Dell. So yeah, it was a touch, and it was the I think the backlight bleeding. The little niggling thing was when you first use it, it assumed one of the inputs was the one that you were connected to. IPS is a much wider angle. It's clear. Yeah, I think I spotted that. Yeah, you can still see it at oblique angles or acute angles, whichever way it is. It's got multiple inputs, so HDMI, DisplayPort. I think it also said the other ones too. Mini DisplayPort, DisplayPort, and HDMI. Pretty sure I'm using HDMI here, but it defaults to using DisplayPort, and it can't detect which one you're using. And I don't think there was any instructions to tell you like how to change it. So you've got the thing, and also like the whole touch screen thing, the touch buttons. Like you can barely see what they're all supposed to be doing. Like I can't in this light, I can't see any indication as to what, like how many buttons there are supposed to be or anything. I think there are dots on it though. Like if you're looking at it in a bright light, you can sort of see dots on the touch that show where the actual contact points are, but there's no instructions to tell you that. But I mean, it's not an unresolvable issue because once you've figured out that you can change the input thing, you can do it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think overall I'm happy with it. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess I'd have to try and to gauge the backlight bleeding issue. I think I'd have to try and look at a different monitor just to see see what it looks like, and kind of trust somebody else who's also kind of who's more familiar with IPSs. Um, trust their judgment as to whether something, backlight bleeding is even occurring. But for the monitors that I've used, I think this is far and away the best one I've ever used. The colours are pretty sweet. Um, I feel like I do feel like the black is pretty black. Clearly, it could be blacker. I think an OLED screen would make it um, actually black. So you can see, like, I can see up here that the colour of the bezel is darker than the colour of this area of the screen, which is showing that it's not actually, the contrast isn't, it doesn't allow you to go right down to full black, which I would actually like. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. But yeah, I guess if you don't like touch, as I don't, I've kind of realised that through getting this monitor, because I don't really have much touch stuff. If you don't like touch, then I'd have to say this won't really sway you the other way because it doesn't work very well. It's a bit hit or miss. It's a bit of roll of the dice when you sort of touch the thing, whether it's going to come on or go off. Yeah, so there you go. I think we have solved our problem here, by the way. Well, if it's not solved it, but we figured out what the problem is. Because you can see that the title for all of these guys now don't have this thing. If I just don't perform this clear tonal characters, we do the test. I think we should see that it does contain the garbage, maybe. Checking privacy of this. So yeah, what we've got here is that we've actually what we've done is we've printed out what we printed. Where's the fprintf? I guess also you could actually derive from this where our issue is. Oh, we're just not printing the thing. That's all it is. Yeah, we're just not printing the second dude. Yeah. Yeah. So I think if I just let this happen, is this correct? If I just let that happen, that that terminal line should be cleared, shouldn't it? By video is private, unless I'm mistaken. I'm not sure I can imagine why it wouldn't be. Yeah, it is. And now we're just getting the remnants of it. So, I mean, all that means is that the clear terminal row just still isn't right. Let's keep letting this happen. It's basically these guys here. So the issue is basically it was it prints out the message. We're definitely trying to clear the terminal row before each return. So it's not like we're forgetting to do that. What is the actual case? The case is for Cinera for Risky Book Reader. And I think we are ignoring the privacy, aren't we? Let me just check. So ignore privacy. It's not true. It is for Hero, but it's not for Risky. Okay. So that means that we're hitting at least... well, I mean, we're doing the test anyway, aren't we? So... Video's private. We should be getting down to here, shouldn't we? Right. We're getting down to this area here. Trying to clear the terminal row. So we've written out the message. We've backspaced through all of that. I tell you what, let's backspace. This is super weird, but let's do the backspace and then let's fill those guys back up and then let's backspace again and just see if that helps. Because, I mean, basically, right, when you do this, when you do a printf like this, doing the backspace, it's supposed to actually insert spaces, right? According to what I could tell. By the way, browser is the name of the browser. Where's Interbot? Interbot should have something to say about that. I would have thought. Right, when you do control, it's like a control character, isn't it? Control character. I'm sure that I got it. I don't know if it's just if it's going to be Linux or if it's just POSIX in general. Oh, right. So that's what they're saying. I wonder why there's a character in common links do not actually erase the characters when printed. This normally works when tied. What you're seeing is correct. Backspace or that means the cursor no erasing. So there we go. So that seems to be what you have to do. Well, also, we've got it down here. right, and then you just do it again. So I suppose, yeah, I mean, I suppose it is. It's just that, isn't it? Really? Does that sound reasonable? So that's going to back us up, and then for the length, it inserts those spaces. And then it just backs us back up again. Off a bit, you said, okay, cool. Too like any machine. Ah, interesting. Yeah, interesting. I wonder if that was just because of the amounts of memory that it uses. Um, I don't suffer from lagginess, really. Because I actually find it really, really responsive, actually. Um, my issue with it is it just uses up too much memory, really. Um, yeah, okay, so let's just see. Also, I think now that I'm doing this clear terminal row in this manner, I think the other place where I actually do that, I should be able to just use that clear terminal row all in one go, rather than calling clear terminal characters after it. Yeah, there we go, so we solved it. So that was just straight up misunderstanding. I just didn't realise that the backspace doesn't yeah, I didn't realise it doesn't actually insert the space. Because I thought I've read somewhere that it does insert the space. But that's fine. At least we've solved that. I've tried using pass demon. I do use pass, yeah. I haven't used demenu though. These are pretty sure pass is the thing that I use. Yeah, pass is the thing that I use. Do I have demenu installed? I don't. Yeah, how do you use it in conjunction with each other? Clear terminal message length. So yeah, I think this is the same deal, isn't it? Now that we're actually doing the actual full clear terminal row that itself does the clear terminal characters, we can just make this person do this, do that. Don't bother with that. And then I think we're away, aren't we? And this was for updating the checksum. So let's try and provoke that. So just continue to check that. Pass has a nice feature with D menu for selecting password. Okay, cool. Pass menu. Cheers, I'll give that a go. Cool. Yeah, I tend to obviously just use the past history. So it's like I tend to do that and then do your stuff. Yeah, what do I tend to do? Yeah, so when I buy something on PSN, for example, I'd be doing that sort of a thing. Yeah, and then when it expires, you sort of do. Is it when it expires? Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so with PSN, sometimes you have to like log in multiple times. put your password multiple times. So I'd do this, and then I'd just like do, just do the up arrow to get us to the thing. But Demo, you have to pay yourself on this with the official route. Ah, okay. I wonder if there's a thing in the AUR. Not exactly sure how readily this is going to give us something. I mean, what is that even called, actually? So it's just called pass. A D menu funded to pass with clipboard and auto functionality for user and password. So I presume it's this. So I could potentially use the AURs, maybe. Yeah, provoking the thing. So, what was it? Checksum. Let's just, yeah, you can do this with this, can't you? So, I know hero. What's the track called? It's called Nahuya. There's no way I'm gonna. It's probably actually Fogu by now, I imagine. So reinserted that, and it updated that checksum, and yeah. So this printout now looks perfect. I should be able to illustrate how that was failing earlier by just doing this. Nahud Jack. Yeah, you can see that. So it's got the double S. So it's actually got the S and then the in HTML files. Right. But when you actually clear the terminal correctly, you actually don't get that S in HTML files. I guess the next one, let's say Ananon, because I love this track. Anaon, I think is how you pronounce it. And I can see that you just don't get that in HTML files. So yeah, so this clear terminal row, finally, once and for all, is actually correct, I think. Because I'm now doing it under the understanding that the backspace character doesn't actually insert a space, as I read that it does somewhere, probably Stack Overflow actually. But yeah, that was the bug. So the other things I wanted to also check, could also just take that off. Basically, the does not insert spaces. So I was going to we're working on no at the moment. Thing in general, Cinera, right? Okay, so Cinera is it's basically a website generator. So it's the thing that produces this for Handmade Hero. So if you go on handmadehero.org/watch, it produces this guy down here. That's basically it. So it takes as input these sorts of files, HTML files. It's just a markup of my just specification essentially. So it takes these guys as input, and it just produces HTML files. And it does also handle this sort of stuff, like hashing of assets and updating of those asset checksums, which I should check actually. I need to just check if that is actually happening for everyone. What else is it doing? Yeah, I mean it's incorporating it into a template. It's like you can kind of see, like this is. Well, I can probably show you the template actually, can't I? Or I can show you how it's different. So in here, right, for intro to C, right. So this is just the stock built-in rubbish, doesn't integrate into anything thing that it outputs, right? I might actually prevent it from doing this and just hard say that you have to provide a template. But this is the stock thing that it produces. This is interesting to see. You can actually make it produce this sort of stuff. I mean, the only difference here between this and this, you can tell, are the backgrounds and this menu here. So it's basically a template just contains this menu and sort of a style that says to call the CSS file that contains this background color. So yeah, it's basically just that really. Yeah, easy episode guide. Awesome, cool. I appreciate it, and well, that's what it's for. that's what it's doing. It's the thing that makes the episode guide. And this whole thing that I'm currently doing at the moment is the config file stuff. It's basically so that you can write your config separately. So it includes stuff like the projects, various information about the projects. It includes the people, and it includes the mediums. So the mediums you can sort of see in well, I'm going to see this handmade hero. It's going to have some. So the mediums here. So basically, you define these guys. The topics in the media, they're both considered to be categories, and they're both marked up the same way. You basically put a colon and then the ID of the thing. The way that you distinguish between these two is by specifying the mediums, basically, and you can do that in here. Previously, the way that you had to do it was it was all hard coded in the cinera.c file. So there was like these arrays in the cinera.c file which contain the credentials, which is now the person's. It contained the mediums and it contained the product info. So basically, that's what I'm working on. It's just doing that. It's getting that whole config to actually kind of work, and it's also enabling multiple projects per config, which is what we didn't have before. And we didn't have it because I just thought it would be too arduous. It would just be too tough to sort of configure the stuff, because the way that you used to also run it was with a bunch of command line switches. So you'd be setting stuff like where I want to see this. Yeah, you'd be saying like the HTML dir, the assets root dir, base dir, base URL. You'd be setting these guys on the command line, and you'd probably actually want those things to be different per project. So I just kind of figured, well, we just can't support multiple projects yet. We're just gonna have to wait until we've got the config, and then you can do it in there. Yeah, and now that we've got this whole thing going, you can even do these pretty sweet things, which is like using variables. So we've got the owner variable and a lineage variable, and the lineage variable is pretty interesting because it produces this whole thing, right? you can see we got risky book reader. That's the lineage for the reader project. I think you should see this thing actually here. I think it is referring to the HTML. Actually, now that I think about it. Well, no, it's not. Beg your pardon. It's referring just to the lineage. It's just the lineage, and then the base file name, and then the title. So it's not exactly that. But most of them don't have the HTML set. Everybody just uses this same setting. First make something usable, then reusable. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and these guys all inherit the stuff, which I don't think we could really. I mean, we didn't have the idea of lineages before, or owners, because you couldn't really specify. Like, you couldn't readily specify a tree on a command line, could you? In the same way that you can like specify a tree in scopes like this. You know, this is. It just seems like a much more. Well, I mean, I guess technically you could actually, couldn't you? To be fair, you could just say that the command line is just a bunch of scoped stuff, I suppose. Yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought of that. Maybe I did, and it just felt like it would have just been too cumbersome to do. And I guess I didn't have the idea of the lineage variable, so I hadn't thought of that. So maybe it could have been doable, but yeah. So that's what I'm doing. Tmux is this guy, right? It's a terminal multiplexer. Oh, is that Tmux? It is Tmux, yeah. Well, I totally read that as what is Tmux, but yeah, it is Tmux. Yo, Jesse. So I need to check that, don't I? I believe the topics occurs in all the files. So I should be able to see. I should be able to see that checksum, shouldn't I? The checksum should be B2. Ah. Hang on a minute. Do you want to just refresh this? Ah, there we go. Yeah, so we have got the topic. We've got that checksum coming through. So it's coming through for code, as you would kind of expect, because we've set the current project to be code. Now, because of the way it all works, I mean, there should be nothing to prevent it from having done that for, well, I think even this person also just has it, doesn't it? So yeah, E6, yeah, so that's updated that. I mean, I guess we could just try, we could just do Cinera. Well, Cinera.css, I think everyone uses that, don't they? And you just do that. By the way, this is kind of sweet. I don't know if you would even catch the actual the actual thing here, or if you can even see that, to be fair. Yeah, okay, so you should be able to see this thing here. Basically what happens is that when you need to update the checksum, this thing says updating checksum this of, and the updating is in magenta, right? After it's performed its update, it just erases that line and then it writes updated checksum in yellow. Alright, so I'm going to trigger it again. Just see if you can. I mean, this is super just look at how great this thing is, essentially. Proper self-congratulatory stuff. But see if you can see this thing being purple. Doing the old carriage return. So there we have it. Did anybody catch the purple? I did see the purple. Simmons in login. Ah, yeah, of course. Yeah. Do you know? Have you figured out that the when you when you use a backspace thing, have you realised that it doesn't actually put a space there? Didn't catch you by the way, colorblind. Oh, right. Can you tell the difference between where can we see this? Well, can you see this colour here? Can you tell the difference between this colour and this colour? I think that's the magenta that it should be showing it as. Can yellow, green, and red are lacking. Right. Right. Blimey. So, yeah, I'm not sure if we can easily kind of gauge the difference in our sight here. I mean, I could just sit here and say, so which colours look the same to you? And it's like, well, for me, these colours. Well, actually, this colour is the same as this colour. It's the same as this. There's tons of it. Did I create the command line interface to escape? Yeah. I kind of do. I mean, there isn't. I mean, it's only printing out, you see, isn't it? So it's literally just fprintf, printed to standard error. Yeah, well remembered. Yeah, I don't know if you know, daughter, but you can't write Windows. I don't think even I can write it, can I? I don't think you'll have seen that. Yeah, it's pretty sweet, isn't it? Like you just print F and it just does it. I suppose the only sort of fancy stuff that I'm doing I mean, it's still printfing. The only fancy stuff is the stuff that I just did, which was clearing that thing. I think you can see pretty much all of them within enough brightness. Things I'm sure you can't distinguish are Red, green, yellow LEDs on TVs from a 2 metre distance. From about 2 metres. I see. Interesting. So as long as they're bright enough. If the lights when you can get red and green, green and red wrong. Yellow and green are a bit hard sometimes. Interesting. Yeah. I've got for output. Well, actually, it's colour codes is what I'm thinking of. Yeah, for outputting, I've got these colour strings that I just define. Some process shift L and then I get like 10 bytes one key. Ah, right. Shift Alt F5. Yeah, I guess you have to handle UTF, don't you? Colour codes are pretty simple. Yeah, you can't guarantee that you're going to get 1 byte, can you? Or that you're going to get a non-Unicode thing. I wonder what you receive. Like, if I just did like this kind of a situation, right? I'm doing 2022, which is a bullet point. I assume you just receive whatever the code is for that. Do you? Wow, okay. So I assume you receive a 3 byte UTF-8 thing, don't you? Like, you're not going to be receiving the actual full thing. I mean, because like, I don't know if you can see, like, down at the bottom left, it pops up with a little thing. It switches the mode. And then you do like 2022. I assume that whole thing doesn't actually get through to you. It's only when you actually release that you get that. Yes, you didn't see that, did you? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't even pick it up on the VOD, actually. Because it's super quick. It's like, yeah. Kind of insane. There we go, we got it again. And again, it's like literally like, I don't know how long, but it's just a very quick flash. Get some escape for Unicode and afterwards. Not sure it is. Yeah, I suppose. Am I right in thinking that a terminal has to support Unicode? Is that right? So the terminal itself would have to know about Unicode and communicate that to you. So different secrets which keep coming I didn't look for. Yeah. Yeah, I think I've encountered that with the backspace key actually. Like some terminals you use, you have to actually somehow configure backspace or something. So why else is about that problem? But I seem to remember that being something that I had to do. I feel like Xterm or something. Like you need to do some weird config to say, yeah, just understand the backspace key, because otherwise you can't use it. Totally different, right? So are these all VT100 terminal emulators? Because like, I don't know, you would have thought that, I don't know, you should be able to target like at least something, shouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? See, because you're unique to the VT1 and 101, 102, 103, and that. Yeah, so is that what you do? Do you just target those guys? Is that not supposed to be 103? Oh, it's one of these. There's a cam. Oh, I see what you're saying. So, basically, if I'm understanding you right, for a VT102, if you press this key, you actually send this. Or rather, the terminal interprets it as this sequence. Yeah, I can see how that could be a right nightmare. I mean, I assume you would be doing like a term info sort of a thing. Is that right? Can you do that? Is that a function? I mean, this is a program. Well, actually, VT100. Is that anywhere? Okay, so there's no more instances of that. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't had to get into that, fortunately. You could target that. Yeah, that was mentioned, wasn't it? Oh, right, yeah, of course. Well, right. Is that what you're saying? So you need to, right, handle all of these bastards. Right. Yeah. Yeah, and VT100 was one of those things, wasn't it? Yeah. So there's even variants of VT100s. Yeah, I guess that's... It's just one of those things, isn't it? Like Terminal X. This could be... Really? Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Could just be one of those things that there's just no value in doing this yourself. I don't think. Right, you might as well, for this sort of thing, just use a library that has all this specified stuff for you. You know, it basically comes with all the these appendices, essentially. I guess the main value of doing it yourself would just be to learn how these terminals differ, really. But if you're not super interested in how they differ, you might be better off using some library, assuming one exists. I mean, I'm sure it must do, mustn't it? Like, what does RxVT Unicode depend on? So there we go. It depends on this. So there's a term for RxVT. Oh right, yeah. So I suppose actually, yeah, that's this, isn't it? Right. So that isn't even really what you're going to be talking about. I mean, really, if something has to provide a term info file, shouldn't it also come with some sort of... Well, I guess the term info file itself is the thing that you actually... is the specification for it, I guess. What's the file list thing? Oh, it's files. I'll have to use my password here. So, I mean, sure I can at least do the F now, can I? Whoa, better not. Well, okay. That was alright. So they're saying this is where these guys are. So let's just have a look at this guy. you're basically talking about reading these guys in. So I presume that the term info is overall kind of generic spec somewhere that tells you the format of these files. Yeah, I mean, surely at least you have that, don't you? Somebody telling you what the file format of a term info is. Because I was kind of going to say, if you have to provide a term info file, shouldn't you also provide like a .h file that people can include that just come with all the stuff that you need to actually handle? But I guess it's, like I say, the term info thing is the actual, essentially that. You didn't want to add in encoder dependency and dislike encoder heading label, things like menu and other things. Just want to simplify it as a bus reflection of casual use. Okay. That tells you how to do it, right? Cool. Yeah, I think like I say, the most I've gone into it is literally that function is the clear terminal row. It's this guy. This is as far as I've got down the rabbit hole. I think I did once take input for something. I think I was saying to Jesse the other day that I had done something that took input sort of as the program was running. I can't remember what that even was. So maybe that occasion and this clear terminal row is as far as I've got. You got it. I suppose I could actually play that, couldn't I? Your stuff, cool. What did you do? Well, you listen to me talking about that occasion when I took input, but I couldn't remember what it was, basically. So cursor position, VTU, I've never heard of that. So it's a two, it's a two vector. Oh right, I see. Yeah. So the E character. So the U is going to be. Right. Where's that thing? Where's that list of control characters? Escape. Oh. Oh, right, I see. So that's what that does. Where's the colour things? Oh, hang on, it's colour strings, isn't it? I see, I think. Is that, I'm going to try this. Where's that updated checksum? So it's going to be the clear terminal row. So yeah, updated the checksum. And then we're positioned down there. See, what he's saying is fprintf. Let's try that one first of all. Is that right? What does reset do actually? Right, it's just that. That clears the whole terminal. Should remove the test titles, by the way. Okay, so I did that wrong, I think. Let's try this. 2J. If you're doing this by memory, that's pretty amazing, by the way. Very impressive. That looks a bit more familiar to me. You know, in terms of the colour strings were a similar sort of format. Interesting. So I've cleared it and I'm now down at the bottom. Interesting. Don't quote it. Ah, how do you... Yeah, I was wondering about the dudes. How do you do it then? Like, how do you pass this to printf? Do you do it like that? Character constant is too long for its type. So yeah, you're saying don't. Yeah, how do you do that? Using batch. Ah, what's it supposed to be for? That's for resetting. I mean, this is ZSH, by the way. Printf that. Yeah. Just, Print. Let's have a go. Where's my thing? Let's just do it exactly the same. Let's just remove these titles, by the way. Oh god, I'm going to do this easily. Insert into DB, I think it's one of them. Yeah, it's just these dudes. So The title is, was. Title is, was. Yeah, perfect. And then we had it in the HTML tuple first anyway. It's this guy down here. Title equals the equals equals and the equals equals equals. There we go. And it was the E3. This. So right. Yeah, it's very rare that I have to do that. I had to call reset. Huh. So that apparently didn't do anything. I mean, I guess when a program's running, does it make sense that you can do reset? Did that do anything? Oh, shouldn't have actually tried to compile that. This is 3C. So it didn't reset. Oh. Interesting. E7 to E8 to restore it. Yeah, right. So that's really for, it's really useful for input. Let's just try the other thing that you were talking about. I will just go back to print F by the way, because actually, now that I think about it, let's just try this one again, just because this was an fprintf to standard error. I just like to make sure that I'm sending it all to the same stream, basically. So I guess 3C. Okay. Fine. What was the positional thing? So you do it like you got your E, and then you got your that, and then you've got your Y location. So let's just say 12. Let's just try and actually type something. You got that. Let's do 12, 12, H. Is that all right? Surely that should actually fit in the thing. So I'm imagining this would position you somewhere up here. So the cursor is currently right down there. If I do the right, do that. Yeah, awesome. That's sweet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, perfect. That's awesome. And you can save the cursor position to that. Yeah, I suppose, unfortunately, I can't really test that super well, can I? Because I think the cursor position... Well, where could that be? And also, what happens when I press enter now? So that goes down to there. I see. And then you just do that. So I wonder if... Yeah, I wonder if... wonder what it's actually inputting. Like if I were to say reset here and then enter, will that propagate out to the terminal after I've exited it? I sort of imagine... What do I imagine? I imagine not, actually, because if that did happen, then you'd be in a world of hurt, wouldn't you? Because like every time a program exited, it would just be repeating all the crap that you'd pressed. I guess. Yeah. Standard on, yeah, get the position, print. So you print that and then it would say, oh, cool, okay. So it's a uint, isn't it? I wonder if it's an accident that 6 is half of 12. Oh, of course it's complete garbage, because that was a number that I just picked out of the hat, wasn't it? So you do you do E6N. So that's sending that's telling the terminal to tell me the position on standard in. So if I say how do you do this? So you want to the stream, the S I presume is the into the buffer quantity by S. Right. So the buffer is buffer. And then just fprintf the size of that buffer, I guess. So it's supposed to the car restrict, but not going to type car start that. Okay. I'm not sure if this is going to be actually valid for it. It returns that. What have we got going on here? Let's also just say what the position. So you're saying it returns an EY that's you then you pass it out. Guess. Did I see some of those positions flying past there? I think I might have done. So the cursors, yes, that's it. It's doing exactly as you're saying. Well, hang on, where's the position? Shouldn't it have said position? got your buffer character out. So you print in that, do buffer 16, let's just do what you said. Oh yeah, you have to actually clear it. Okay, so right, I don't think I have that. Oh, it's easy passing. You actually, yeah, getting the stuff out. Shouldn't I be at least able to print out the whole string though? So that's good to. That should read it into the buffer, shouldn't it? Shouldn't need to free it. No, what's he saying? It says unused variable m. So that's going to be the number of characters, isn't it? I guess you could just use that here. So this should be right, shouldn't it? At least. I know I'm not passing this stuff out, but... Clear terminal row. It should write that. Update to checksum with that. It should do a new line. And then it should be outputting our stuff, shouldn't it? So what am I missing here? Why is it not saying position? Right? It should be saying for that, shouldn't it? Yeah, I'm not sure I can see where that could be going. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm not exactly sure why that hasn't triggered the thing, by the way, but this does. And we're not seeing the thing printing out more than one time. So it's writing to standard out. So, I mean, yeah, it writes to standard out to say, just give me the thing, please. And then we read into the buffer the thing that it tells us. And then we should be writing to standard error this stuff 4 times. Right? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe standard out is buffered. let's just try it using standard out actually here. So it's going to send that control character there. See, that didn't even get it that time. Which is kind of interesting, isn't it? It almost seems like the... Well, I mean, still though, why shouldn't the position even, like, just say something at least? Do you know what I mean? Because even if the buffer wasn't populated with anything... That disables line buffering. Blimey, okay. Gosh, this is stuff that I had no idea about. So let's try this. So this standard in. I guess, should we also just change these guys to be standard out? Let's try the first thing first. Same behavior. Let's try standard out. Think a bit of that. If not, just done it again. Set it out. Null only buffer. I mean, if I don't touch that buffer, like, can't I just sort of say any, like, just something? Like, usually this just works, doesn't it? Although I usually do standard error. I mean, this is the only place that snipe checksum takes. Well, it's the only place that updated checksum of that even gets said. Oops. It's hanging on read. Oh, right. Oh, so it's just not it's just never getting out to do the print. So there's something. Yeah, you could be right there, because it's printing out the something. And then it's printing out... What have we got here? So it's reading from standard in. First to buffer size and bytes. I didn't specify I want raw input. How do you do that? CPU read. So you want to read into this buffer that number of bytes, this file descriptor. Blimey. That's alright. Do you think just do that before do the other stuff? See, writing terminals to you copying the CF make raw. I'm not sure if can you do this inside a function. The memory copy is unnecessary. Okay. So I see. So you need to make that term iOS is probably what I actually need for a start. Now I need to make that CF make raw. So the input is CF make raw. I need the CF make raw. So what is that? Should be in iOS. Why is it saying input declaration? Tim iOS.h and UniSD. I'm pretty sure I'm using UniSD at least. Maybe not. Oh, is it one of those things that you need to define POSIX like? Oops. Feature test for that. CF measure. So I need to say default source. Yeah. Oops. Okay, yeah, fine. And I also need to do that before doing the include, don't I? So how do you do that? Define use macros. So is that define? Do I need to do it before the UniSTD? What was it? Default source. So we've got this. Just do this. Oops. Now, I know that I need to get this in there somewhere. glibc default. I mean, it's just BSD source is what I need. I assume that I'm on the a newer one though. Yeah, I always have a hard time with this, with these feature test dudes. Pretty sure that wasn't like that. Mind you, hang on a second. Could one of these other ones be getting in the way? Yeah, no, that's screwed. Yeah, I don't know. CF make raw. So they only occur there. glibc, what am I on here? 2.29. They're saying since glib 2.29. So they're suggesting that I should be doing default source. Aren't they suggesting that? Right, so that by the time you actually get down to do this include, you will have defined thingy. I mean, that's just nowhere to be seen. Well, it's not the struct, is it? It's the function. Is what I'm talking about. I need to get CF make raw. Oh, right. So now it's saying use MISC. So where's that dealt with? So we've got it. But, I mean, how would you have known? Because the thing definitely said, didn't it? Right. Default source, right? And I definitely did define default source. Is it just that this is incorrect? No. Anyway, we've got it. So what happens? What was the file? CSS, wasn't it? All right, we've got it. Oh, I see. Right. So it's not going to be an actual character, is it? It's going to be an escaped code. So I guess if I was to dump this to a file and then load that file into a hex editor, then I should see it. So let's just do that. Need to print that. Ah, okay. Cool. I don't particularly mind about that. But it's good to know actually. You would need to print that always with that. So where do we actually do it? I mean, I guess technically we don't need the new line there, do we? And also since we're only, well, we are setting the raw here, aren't we? So you're saying it would be like here. This would ensure that it actually puts the cursor back. So what are we testing here again? It's testing the test pause, isn't it? Ah, right, interesting. So it's not taking import. That's unfortunate. How do I actually get myself out of this situation cleanly? I mean, clearly you can just kill Cinera, but how do you actually handle this? Because we wrote out the positions and the else's. We wrote the somethings and the positions of the else's all on one line. Type reset and press enter, really? Yeah, it's not letting me do that. Raw import. Is there a way to make it on raw import? After you've done what you need to do. So not screwed. Is Cinera taking raw import? Ah. I see. And I guess because Cinera itself isn't actually handling raw import after here, you can't really communicate with it. Is that right? You need a kill switch for that. Find a signal handler to reset terminal. Ah, I see. That's okay. So what we're trying to do here, hopefully we should end up with a file that just says test pos. We don't have a file, we've got test.config. We've got a nice file called that. Define print f at xy. What was that? Printf. Oh. So you're positioning the cursor, if I remember this right. Oh no, hang on a minute, you tell it to get the cursor, don't you? Yes, you're getting the cursor, and then you're setting the cursor to this. Then printing the format, printing the actual thing, and then resetting the cursor to be where it was. Interesting. So let's see what we get. The only difference here, by the way, is that I inserted this character return. So if I just do that, trigger the update, we're now busted. But but if we go to kill it, alright, so because what we've done now is we're taking CF raw, and am I right in thinking that it's on the, well, no, it did get through all of this, didn't it? I think. So I think we should have a file that's doing the business. Yeah. Yeah, so there we have it. So there's your position, and then your thing, and then your escape sequence is just as you were telling us. It's pretty sweet. That's position, then a colon, then a space. And then you've got your 1B. And 1B in hex is your escape. I see. So it's literally an escape. B. Oh right, yeah, of course. So you've got your escape, and then you've got then the actual ASCII symbols, and it ends with an OA, which is probably the carriage return, isn't it, or something. 0A. Oh, it's the new line. Okay. That's pretty sweet. So byte by byte, so you're reading an escape, and then you read these dudes off. To get your 62 and your 1. New line is 0A. 1B is equal to the E. I see. So \E is like equivalent to write to the that's just how you write the escape. Where is it again? Hang on. Yeah, 1B is escape. So I mean, if they wanted this to be all kind of consistent, then they would put like \E down here, wouldn't they? Wherever it is, this guy, because there's no indication. I mean, I've used the E, the \E in the call strings, but I hadn't married it up with this. And I guess I sort of implicitly knew that it was an escape sequence, but I mean, if it was to say it, that if it was to say in here the \E was how you can do that escape thing, then I would have explicitly known that that's what it was. Alright, so let's p-kill that. Let's p-kill this once and see what happens. I think it's got us out of there. Okay, yeah, it's just, that's actually got us out of there completely. And obviously the terminal screwed. So we're getting the attributes of the terminal, writing them into term iOS. Then you're making term iOS raw. You're making that terminal raw. And then setting the attribute of the term iOS to be this, whatever that means. So it's getting the attributes putting them into here, making it raw, and then setting that attribute. Sweet. Yeah, and again, this situation of having to write, having to figure out that use misc was the thing that you actually need, just a bit tough. I mean, you saw the process that I went through. It was like try and find the, find the docs for this function, right? And it says it's a feature test macro requirements. You need to do this. But I mean, it just didn't. It didn't do the deed. Default source and BSD source are the options. Default source and BSD source. And we don't use BSD source to get in our way anywhere, I don't think. Yeah, so just seems like that man page was just, he just didn't have the right information. Feature civilization again when it got to input because Teresa Sinclair didn't. Ah, yeah. I think that's the same thing that Jesse was having the other day with the, is it Temple of Earth it's called? He didn't know how much he'd have to read, so you just say up front. I think is what he did, is you say up front how much you want to read, and then you just read that amount. Do you remember also that confusion that I had when I was I was kind of wondering why it wasn't updating the checksum for some reason. Like, basically, if I write this, I should expect this not to update the checksum, because it should be the same. Yeah, and it doesn't. But the thing is, previously, I was deleting the line. I was popping between two different states of it. I deleted the line and then saved it, and it didn't hash the file. I think that's just because of what was happening. It was just read was doing whatever it was doing, and we couldn't get through it. Which was C linkage that lets you communicate with the eternal with normal return values. I think I understand. So you get sort of sanitized input, essentially. So basically, if I'm understanding you right, you want in some situations to have the raw stuff actually happening, but in other situations you wanted to have basically the non-raw stuff. Update checksum. So they both changed. So Cinera CSS is 321. That's a nice ending number. Yeah, so code is getting it. The index is also getting it. Reader's also got it. So yeah, it seems like it's all working. Like the whole asset landmark stuff. As far as I can tell, it's just totally working. Yeah, unless I'm missing something. So we've done the projects loop. There we go. I can actually take that off. That's what we did last stream or the stream before. And we've investigated the terminal titles. It was clear terminal again. So we've done that. Yeah, I feel like we are just ready to go on to do the sync DB. So there's going to be like adding new people and adding new projects, rearranging projects, deleting projects. So if I just go down to where the print assets block gets called, down here, this is going to process all the stuff, and then it's going to print out the assets block. You actually ended up just doing read with a buffer size of 1. Yeah, that's what I was thinking you could do. Yeah, that's perfect. That's basically what I was sort of thinking you could do. I think you could you also do it with a buffer size of non-1, so like a bigger buffer, and just push on the entirety of that buffer to the other buffer. So you still do have the two buffers situation, but you could do it with a buffer size of more than 1, basically. Like, how can I say this? It's not like it's not a hard requirement that it's just a single byte that you read. This is the things that were successful last year. Yeah. Yeah. So if there's no success, if it's just completely successful, you basically end up with you don't output anything essentially. So in other words, this line is always going to be looking like this. Yeah, I mean I do have the skipped things, don't I? If we can get back there. So there's some of these guys that get skipped. So really you'd be seeing this in your printout, and you'd be seeing why that happens, I presume. But for these guys, you won't bother to print anything. Yeah, I mean, I guess it isn't massively useful, I guess, now that you mention it. Because, I mean, I really need to log in. I really need to actually look at the things. on the actual server, I really need to go in and see this stuff. If I want to make sure that something has actually gone to the site, I just go to the site, right? And I just sort of say, well, is the new guy there? Yeah, then great. Tend not to need to look at this. I'm not sure. I think I do have different options for print. Or I've got different options for logging. Yeah, I mean, I guess I probably could, and maybe should make an option for doing less verbose output, I guess. Because I mean, most of the time that this is actually, when you see this flying past, I mean, a lot of this, well, probably not a lot, but I mean, some of that time is going to be spent actually performing the blooming printout. I mean, definitely in the optimized build. Yeah, the purple updating. Yeah. We can actually gauge it, can't we? If I just do this print assets block and just not do this, because we've got the monitoring file system thing, we can actually see that come up. And it also says syncing, doesn't it, when you're first syncing? Or, well, you can see this hashing assets also. You should see that. But if I just run, so this is the optimized build now. If I just run it, right, you can see those guys flying past, and then you've got this happening. If I just don't print the stuff out, right? Let's see how long it takes. Yeah, I mean, I suppose also it did also check the stuff, didn't it? To be fair, it packet templates doesn't take any time. Probably really early on. So who would have? So Hero skips the privacy, doesn't it? But I think we saw that the risky one doesn't skip. Is that right? Doesn't ignore the privacy, rather. Oh, fetching quotes happens. Yeah, so that's a source of slowdown. So we've got through all of Hero, and then risky. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to tell, like if there's much more, it's much quicker. Project Hero code found. I mean, maybe it was a bit quicker, but it's tough. Again, because there's stuff that probably takes longer than those things to happen. It's not super easy to gauge it. Yeah, I don't know. No idea. The idea was to Get a right seg port. Oh, okay. Yeah, until the large buff gets put and gets seg port. I think I kind of do actually, yeah. Maybe. What have we got going? Timing. So we've got this here. Start timing block, end timing block. Now we're using the clock. I can't remember if this is even right, actually. I can't remember if this is the thing that I should be using. So it's a processor time. I don't know if this is the value change of the CPU times used so far as a clock T. Okay, so it is the number of clock cycles, I think. Is it? So start timing block and end timing block. Let's just do a block around those guys. The sync projects. So yeah, basically, well, it's down here, isn't it? So what do you say? I mean, I guess, strictly speaking, I should do it all the way down there. Although it really doesn't matter. So what is this doing? It's just like the, well, it's sync progress, isn't it? Obviously. So it was this value when we're printing. I know that we've done one sample, but is that? Yeah, so it's basically no different, is it? $70,000 cycles. When you're talking about something that's like a million, yeah, 1.2 million, isn't it? Um, yeah. Again, though, it's still tough to tell because we're doing the HTTP request out to the quote store. I don't think we were checking the privacy, were we? For anyone, so that wouldn't have been a problem. Or would it actually? No, of course it wouldn't, because when you reach that privacy, you see that happening. It just takes absolutely years to do. Like if I just set ignore privacy to not be true, right? It takes. What? Where's the included file? So ignore privacy is false. So nobody's setting ignore privacy to be true. Shouldn't they do at least one check? Oh, it's because it's already in the database. That'll be why. So if we just remove the database, we should see that stuff happen. I mean, even that was pretty quick. So, I wonder if I busted something. Because ordinarily, when you're not ignoring privacy, each individual person should actually take some time to be processed. Yeah, no, it's true. You can do it for all sorts. What have we got? I think I've got a keyboard that you can tell what my keyboard is. There you go. Oh yeah, so we're skipping these anyway. Skipping a load of them. Oh, we're not printing them, are we? That's the thing. We're not printing out people we don't know about. Sorry, we're not printing out people that succeed. So if we just do, if we let this happen. That was a couple of years ago. So that's definitely a lot quicker than I would expect it to be. So I think I've screwed up HTML to buffers. Right. Now the thing was though, there was a whole issue around this little bit of code, which was because it was printing out something. Video is private was printing out something and failing to clear the thing. I mean, surely it's... I mean, sure, yeah, like I say, surely it's not just doing it so quickly, is it? That I'm just not seeing the thing. Right, if I just don't clear the terminal row, do we get all the messages coming through? If we do, then that's amazing. Because, no, we don't get them through. So, yeah, something's definitely not right. Because we should be getting into here. Checking privacy status of that. Well, hold on a second. Just checking privacy status of this video. Now, so they're doing it for the first one of every project, it seems. I'm not exactly sure I understand why we're not seeing that for every entry though. Because we're only pulling in the YouTube metadata for the individual file. We're not pulling it in for the entire playlist because we don't even have that information. Oh, hang on a second. One of the tests in HMR to buffers, right, where we do the check privacy, was if the n working this dot size is equal to 0 and this is not ignore privacy. Only at that point do we do that. So I think we need to reset that working this, don't we? Where's reset neighborhood happening? What was that called? Working this dot size. Okay, so that should be doing it there. But where's this getting called? Have to go. Yeah, you too, dude. No distractions at all. We're all in kind of like learning and going crazy mode here, so no, that's cool. I don't really have a stream schedule, but it's usually around about the same time actually. I guess I'd just sort of say that about 8 o'clock PM GMT or BST actually. So that's going to be like 3.5 hours ago. I'm typically going to be online around that time. So yeah, I might have started a bit earlier than that, but I mean it's a bit of a movable feast. But I'm usually online at about. In fact, today was late, wasn't it? Now that I think about it, we're doing 3.5. So what would that take us back to? That takes us back to 9, doesn't it? Yeah, I think actually 4.5 hours ago. Now that I think about it, usually I'll be online by about 4.5 hours ago. Today was a bit of a different one though. Yeah, but I'm gonna be doing it all week. So yeah, reset neighborhood. Where's insert entry in DB? Wasn't it called that? Insert entry. Oh, into DB. See you later. Mon petit chou. Now, should I be entitled actually to just call reset neighborhood right here? That shouldn't screw anything up, should it? Ah, well, neighborhood is getting set here. So recheck privacy is happening. Well, that's happening there. In recheck privacy, this guy just reset neighborhood. Yeah. So this is happening. The monitor file, well, it's monitor file system. So it's not even that. It's somebody else I need to look at. Sync DB with input. It's here, isn't it? Well, no it's not, because we've got the reset neighborhood happening here too. So what am I missing? I'm going to step into this and see exactly what it's doing, because I suspect that we're not rechecking the privacy for every person, which is why it's going so quickly. Right. 9735. What file are we in? Wrong file. What have I just loaded up? CGDB Cinera. I'm in Cinera. Oh, I'm in debug mode. Sorry. What do you call it? Optimized. So it's 9737. Let's just try and print the neighborhood. So working this size is currently 0. I'm going to insert someone. And now this kind of stuff is set, which is fine. Right, we're going to come in here, reset the neighborhood. And what does the neighborhood look like? So yeah, the size is back down to 0, which is bang on. That's exactly what you want. So let's just jump into insert entry, if we can. Yes, we can. Yeah, and then jump into this also. I mean, basically, I want to be getting through to HTML to buffers, where we do the privacy check. Right, I want to be getting down to here. And see if we actually get in there. We didn't. So why didn't we? Now that is already set. Right? working this. Where is that set? Let's just continue again and just come around to this, check once more. Well, we can look at the neighbourhood once more. So the neighbourhood is free, cleared, like there's nothing in there. We go into insert entry. I think we did do a thing, didn't we? Yeah. So what is the neighbourhood at this point? Still nothing, which is fine. Oh. I see, so that's going to screw us over. So I reckon if we've determined that we are adding somebody, then we should set them working this. Like, do we use the working this in here? So I don't think I saw working this get used anywhere in there. Now I guess, is this set? This should be nothing, shouldn't it? Because we know, pretty sure that we're adding a new guy. Tell you what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to just straight up say before doing this switch, before doing this HTML to buffers call, I mean you could do it in get neighborhood actually, probably. Right, we're actually trying to operate on intro to C3. This output location is going to get set by HTML to buffers, isn't it? Yeah, and that's fine because this base file name gets set here. I do feel like at this point, so basically in get neighborhood really, when we're getting it for an edition, we should be able to check if we've got this. Well, how do we know whether we'll reinsert? So this is when you're reinserting. What is this trying to do exactly? If this is that, you're going to set the working this to be that. I actually think this isn't what I should be doing at all. Rather than bothering with this dude, I think all we want to be doing here, we're just trying to find out whether we should be inserting or appending. That's it. So I think rather than doing this and working this here, I reckon we just do a test entry, which is purely used to perform this test. And then when HTML to buffers gets into the picture, the working this won't be tainted with anything. Does that sound reasonable? Right, it's only if we're reinserting these, set working this to be this. That's the only time that's appropriate. So yeah, I'm just going to say that that's what you do. Oh dude, have a good time at work. Have a productive time. Have a blissfully enjoyable time. So that's dereferencing the first entry. Yeah, I mean, frankly, it doesn't even need to dereference. It could just be a pointer to a test, couldn't it? So it's like a DB entry. Right, scrap that. And then you just say that it's that, don't you? So then you performed your test and then Bob's your uncle, basically. Then, when you get down to doing HTML to buffers, working this won't be populated with anything, which is what you want. I should be able to just run it now. We should see it actually going slowly, shouldn't we? Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Checking privacy states of that. Perfect. This change won't get picked up. But that's what we want to be happening. We want to be ignoring the privacy for hero. And then for risky, we want to actually make... Well, I mean, I would, in my instance of risky business, I will be ignoring the privacy. But in Handmade Networks instance, they can't ignore the privacy. Yeah. So yeah, I guess now that we've fixed that, we're just always going to find that we've got this very lengthy process to go through. And I think also because those guys exist in the database, that stuff doesn't need to get checked. Hence risky flashing through too. But if we remove those, remove the database, then we should see that hero goes through quickly and then risky will go through slowly. Yeah, and there you see it. So that's exactly what you want to be happening. So yeah, that's it. That is a success, I'd say. We timed that. We've reverted it to the printout. Oops. Didn't we? I'm sure it's called into DB. Insert into DB is all it is. Fine. Yeah, so we're letting that do the printout. Guess these guys could go. We don't care about this anymore. We sort of know that they're happening. Oh, also we could actually just turn off the profiling altogether. Yeah, so there we have it. We've done a fair bit of stuff today. We've done, we've investigated the issue with, it turns out it was the issue with clearing the terminal row. So we've fixed that. So now, finally, once and for all, that thing actually does the correct stuff. And then we did a bunch of stuff with daughter, playing with terminal stuff. And then we've just fixed the privacy checking, which is just a simple case of setting the working this entry erroneously. Yeah. And off the top of my head, I think that's it. That's all working as it should be. And we also tested to make sure that the hashes are getting sniped into all the landmarks correctly. We did print out the blocks, but we didn't really look at them. But essentially, the blocks are showing the entries that it's writing into. So I think we're in a position for next time to actually perform this stuff, rearranging and deletion of projects. So that's what we'll do. We've done 3 hours and 47 minutes, and I have a beautiful lot of headphone hair going on there, I think. Thank you very much, Heroes and Heroines, for being here, for being beautiful, for being petite, and for being a drink fruit. Until next time, farewell for now.